Electric Pokemon are some of the fastest and most powerful in the entire series, but they're also some of the least common and least popular Pokemon out there. So I decided to give these electrifying boys a chance that they deserve, and today I'm taking on a brand new challenge by beating Pokemon Violet using only shiny electric type Pokemon. And for an extra spark of difficulty, I'll be adding in some extra rules on top to make this even harder. Iono, I'm gonna show you what a real electric influencer looks like, so will I be able to shock the competition and become the very best? Let's find out. This adventure begins like any other. We say our goodbyes to our mother, select a starter Pokemon, become best friends with a Pokemon of legend by sharing a sandwich, save Penny from some goons, and all of that before our first day of school. I literally just spawned into this world and I'm already the busiest man alive. And we're about to get even busier because, of course, we need to replace our starter Pokemon with one that fits our criteria. An incredibly rare, shiny electric type. But wait. What should we even be looking for? In Pokemon Violet, when you have no gym badges, you can safely catch and use Pokemon up to level 20. This means the areas that we can actually search in are quite limited. In the South Province, we have areas 1, 2, and 3, while in the West Province, we have Area 1. That's not a lot to work with. And sure, there are minor exceptions, but that would just complicate things way more than it needs to. So, which electric types actually spawn in these areas? Well, we have Pichu, Palmy, Tadbulb, Mareep, Shinx, and Tynamo. It's actually a lot more than I thought. Well, since it's always a huge pain in the butt in these runs, I guess I'll take some influence from my rival and get myself a Palmy. And so, the hunt begins. And oh boy, was it ever a hunt. I feel like I'm a lion stalking my prey, waiting to jump out. Drifting through tall grass, tires hum low. Eyes sharp, heart steady, breath slow. The hunt is a rhythm. The wait is a test. Each moment stretches. Patience, unrest. A flicker, a shimmer? Was that the one? No, just a shadow. Trick of the sun. Loops and circles, the cycle repeats. Feet on the pedals, the beat never sleeps. This is the thrill, the chase, the game, the silence, the stillness, one and the same. I love this. I do. Every second, every strain. But tell me, do you feel the pain? Anyway, you guys should know by now that I never give up, and eventually I did manage to find the one that I was looking for. There it is! Look at this little thing, and she's only level 5 too. Perfect. Man, seeing that glorious rosé coat makes this whole thing worth it. I think that I will name you Paws. And we're gonna turn Paws into a machine. But first, while we're here, let's just catch another Pokemon. Why not, right? We're in the right area and we have our list of candidates already, and I'm ready to feel that rush of adrenaline again. And I guess it doesn't matter too much which one we choose to get. Pichu, Mareep, Shinx, any of them really will be amazing to have. So let's just ride around for a while and enjoy the journey. We take in the sights, breathe in the fresh air, say hi to the shiny Pichu, stretch our legs, wait, what? A shiny Pichu? That was so fast! It only took 3 hours. Okay, that's not bad. It's a little hard to tell since the shiny variant of Pichu just has a deeper, more saturated yellow tone, but that is undeniably a shiny, and I'm absolutely catching and keeping this little guy. I decided to name him Pikachu for reasons beyond your understanding, and gave a big sigh of relief after spending so long hunting for these two little monsters. But I'm not stopping there. The gyms can wait, Nemona can wait. I'm getting myself a Mareep. My team is gonna be insane before I even take on the first gym. I want to demolish everything. So I traveled west of Mesagoza and explored the rocky terrain until I found this beautiful pink sheep, which I caught and named Pink Sheep. My names are super inventive, I know. It's a curse to have so much creativity crammed into this brain. But as if having 3 super sick shiny electric Pokemon on my team wasn't enough, I still wanted to level them up a little bit. So I did. I got them all to level 15, and Pink Sheep even evolved into Flaffy. Pinker Pink Sheep. Okay, I think it's finally time that we start getting into some battles, but instead of going straight to the first gym, I wanted to try taking out the first Titan. So I rode over to the west of Artisan and came face to face with the giant crab. Now, I am a little premature taking on this battle, but I have a plan that should hopefully make this not too hard. I start off with Pikachu, who uses Surf to exploit Cloth's weakness, and boom! Not bad damage at all. We managed to get one more attack off before Pikachu is forced to retire, but we did some serious damage there. Kind of hilarious, actually, once you take a look at the size difference between Pichu and this Titan, but anyway, that's fine, because my plan was actually to use Pause. Since we know Dig, this fight shouldn't be a problem at all, and with just one attack, we are on to the next phase. I did revive Pikachu between the phases so we could have that extra damage, and this turned out to work perfectly. It took a while, even with Arven's help, but we did whittle it down little by little until Shelder finished off the fight with an Ice Shard. Whew! I think our first big fight of the run went well, actually. But then I had an idea. An idea that would make my team really unnecessarily overpowered, but I just had to do it. Now, this is absolutely not supposed to be done at this stage in the game, but if I could pull it off, we would be insanely strong. My idea was to obtain a Power Gem TM, which is a powerful rock-type attack that would let us crush Katie's bugs with ease. So if we head to the Dalazapa Passage, we will find this little plateau with the Power Gem TM on it. Usually by this point, Miraidon can jump much higher or even glide, but since we've only beaten one Titan, we just have to make this insanely difficult jump with pure skill and determination. And yeah, it took a while, but we did eventually get it, and now Pink Sheep knows Power Gem. And with this newfound power, Pink Sheep was a wrecking machine and just tore right through Katie's bugs. Nimble and Tarantula go down in one hit, while Teddy Ursa just about hangs on, but then Pikachu can easily finish it off, and that's the first gym done. Let's freaking go, baby. Now, as strong as Power Gym is, it's not gonna help us much in the next gym. So instead, I thought I'd catch another Pokemon and teach it something that is super effective. The one I chose was none other than the spectacular Shinx, so I could teach it Ice Fang. And of course, this one took many hours to find, but it was so worth it because this might be the best looking shiny yet. Just look at it. That yellow coat instead of the usual blue looks so good. Ah! And once we evolve it, it'll be even cooler. I chose to name our new friend Mike, and after teaching it Ice Fang, we were ready to take on the next gym. Oh yeah, and while doing this, Pikachu actually evolved into, well, Pikachu. Look how yellow he is. Wow. Oh. Anyway, we meet again, Trashius. It's good to see you, my friend. Ready to hand over your badge? Well, you better be. Because Mike is taking no prisoners today. Ice Fang, go! Take that, Petalil. And Smoliv, what are you gonna do? You're literally an olive. It's just too easy. We blast through Brassius's team and face off against his ace Sudowoodo. Now, Sudowoodo does give me problems quite often. It's really quite strong, but we still have a full party, so I'm hopeful. I use Ice Fang as much as I can before Mike faints, and boom! Look at that. We're already halfway there. I bring out Pikachu for what is hopefully the final few hits, and okay, Pikachu faints. Pink Sheep, please, win this for me. Come on, Power Gym! Yes, okay, it was a close match, but we did it. Whew, that would have been embarrassing. Well, with the second gym badge obtained, I think it's time to reward myself with another addition to our party. The only problem is, now I need to hunt for it. But the good news is, I know exactly which one I want and where to find it. So after exploring the beach of Area 2 in the East Province, I managed to find myself a shiny Wattrel. Yes! This did take a long time, and no, my mental state is not okay. Thanks for asking, though. But that's okay, because now we have a super rare Wattrel that is gray instead of blue. Why do I do this to myself? Anyway, I name our new best friend Huel and prepare to take on our first Team Star boss of the run. That, of course, is Hakamo. And boy, is it lucky that we got Huel because I needed her. I started the battle off with Pink Sheep, who pretty easily got us past Pawniard and onto the Starmobile. But this Starmobile is an absolute tank. Pink Sheep managed to get 2 hits off, but still barely did any damage. Paws landed 8 slaps on the thing before fainting. Huel then tried her little heart out, followed by Mike, who got the Starmobile down to this tiny, itty-bitty little sliver of HP, and then finally Pikachu could get the win with a Surf Attack. Whew! Every member of my team was critical in this fight. That thing is way too strong, but at least it's over now. Now I don't want to have a battle be that close again, so it's time to power up a little bit. Starting off by exploring this beautiful world for some Thunderstones so I can evolve some of my Pokemon. And while I was out exploring, I actually came across a chandelier of Tadbulbs. Get it? Because it's a group of light bulbs? Like a chandelier? Anyway, none of these were shiny, but I thought while I'm here, I might as well try to get a shiny one to spawn, right? We're in the neighborhood. So I rode around in circles for about an hour or so and actually managed to get extremely lucky. See that little bit of red there on her tail? Yeah, that's the shiny part I was looking for. So worth it. No, but for real, Tadbulb's evolution looks great when shiny. So after catching it, I named her Jim and then used the Thunderstones to really power up my party. First off, it was Pikachu, who turned into this incredible looking Raichu. And then Jim, who turned into Bellibolt. And didn't I say it looks shockingly good? Also, a little side note that I found interesting, every Pokemon I've caught so far has been female. What are the chances of that? But now that we have our newly evolved team, I think it's time we try taking on the next gym. And this one is a bit of a weird one because we're facing Iono, the electric gym leader. So let's see how we do. Well, the battle begins and it's Wattrel versus Pink Sheep. I am one level higher, sure, but the big difference in our attacks is the use of Power Gem. Having this powerful rock-type move makes any flying enemy a breeze to deal with. I hit just once and Wattrel is down already. Against Shinx, I swapped to Pause so I can make use of Dig and, well, it's super effective again. It only takes 2 hits. Next out is Bellibolt, and this is where the fight starts to slow down a little. I stick with using Dig since it's super effective, but Bellibolt has a ton of HP, so this matchup turns out to be pretty close. It takes 3 whole attacks to beat Bellibolt, and Pause is left down in the red. Fortunately though, Iono is down to her last Pokemon, whereas most of mine are still healthy and ready to go. Mismagius puts up a decent fight by taking out Jim and Pink Sheep, but my sheer numbers are just too much. Pikachu sweeps in for the finishing blow, and that's another gym badge obtained. I am the superior electric trainer. Let it be known throughout the land. Well, next on my to-do list was to catch another Pokemon. This time, Dynamo. And holy heck, was this one a pain to get. This one probably took me longer than all the previous catches combined. Like, I'm talking days of searching here. This was so incredibly draining that I'm not convinced I didn't ride past several of them. I mean, it's totally possible. Look how tiny they are. And there's barely a difference between the regular one and the shiny one. But after a stupid amount of time, I of course caught one and named him Elliot. That's right, him, our first male catch. And the funny thing is, I'm not even gonna use him in my next match against Mela. I think with Raichu knowing Surf for some reason, and with how strong the rest of my team is, we should probably be okay. So I get to the Team Star base and face off against Torkoal, and even though we're nerfed by the sunlight, Surf still does very respectable damage. Not enough to win, but that's okay. We still have the rest of the team, and with their combined efforts, we managed to finish off Torkoal and then bully the Starmobile into submission. It totally wasn't super close when my last Pokemon got down to 14 HP or anything. But with that done, we can now take on the Earthworm Titan and get a new ability for Miraidon. Okay, Paws got destroyed, that's not good. And oh my god, Pink Sheep goes down too. Earthworm's got hands! And like a lot of them. Thankfully, my boy Jim is tough enough to get the job done and we can move on to phase 2. And for some reason, this phase was actually way easier. Paws just refused to take damage and delivered slap after slap until the Titan was down. And for such a dominating performance, I think we'll reward Paws with an evolution. Now, evolving Palmo is a little strange. You need to walk 1,000 steps with it out in the world and then level it up. Fortunately, I know this very useful little trick to make that super easy. I just need to stand on the roof of this Pokemon Center and look at that! She's just running around down there. Go! Come on! Get your steps in! And after a quick AFK session, I level her up, and we have Palmot. This is gonna be a massive boost to our power level, and honestly, our style level too. Look at this thing, it looks so good. But why stop at just one? I also leveled up and evolved Pink Sheep, Mike, and Huel into their bigger, stronger, and better looking forms. Shiny Ampharos actually looks really quite weird, while Shiny Luxio looks incredible. Man, looking back on a team full of stacked, shiny Pokemon is so satisfying. And I think it goes without saying that with our 4 evolutions at once, and the fact that we're super effective, Kofu stood no chance. We blasted right through his entire team. I almost feel bad for him. Almost. Up next, I wanted to catch Rotom, and I'm happy to say this didn't take nearly as long as Dynamo. It still took a while, but nothing I haven't done before. The hard part was getting it to stay in the Pokeball. It just really didn't want to be caught. But once it finally caved, I chose to name it iPad and then traveled to Porto Morinda to buy a Rotom catalog so I could change it into its heat form. But I wasn't done with the wilderness just yet because I still wanted to catch Toxel. I've always loved the look of Toxtricity, so I really wanted to get my hands on a shiny one. And after a while spent riding around, I did just that. Of course, I would have to spend some time leveling Toxel up to evolve it and get it out of diapers, but once I did, I had an awesome looking low-key Toxtricity. I can't lie, I would have liked the amped form more, but this is still super cool. And now that we have a poison dual type fairy Pokemon, should be no problem. Alright, we've spent a whole bunch of time recently evolving and catching new Pokemon. It's time to try them out for real in a whole bunch of battles, starting with Atticus. We begin by battling against Skuntank and pow! Paws wins this exchange easily. We then have Revavroom, but it's no match at all for iPad, who melts it in a single hit. Up next is Muck, but Paws is just simply too strong. So far, this is an incredibly dominant performance, and we're already on to the Starmobile. And this does take a little longer since it's got a dump truck of HP in reserve, but with the combined efforts of my juiced up team, nothing can prevent the inevitable Daddy Q victory. Alright, enough with the small fry, it's gym leader time. But to keep it fair and to follow my own rules, I can only take 3 Pokemon into this battle, so I chose to go with Pikachu, Paws, and Pink Sheep. Bring it, Larry. I hit first with Low Kick, and you know, that damage kinda sucks, but it's good enough for now, so after taking a slam to the face, I go for it again. Unfortunately, we then fall asleep, and I prepare to be flattened by another slam, but what's this? Pink Sheep avoided the attack while sleeping. She's beginning to believe. But as cool as that is, it doesn't actually make a difference. Kamala is faster, so the very next slam is enough to take us out. Okay, it's pause time, and thanks to the efforts of Pink Sheep, finishing off Kamala is easy. Next is Dunsparce, and I choose to gamble with Arm Thrust. 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits? Oh, that's it. Well, that's still some really good damage. I go for it again, and 1 hit, 2 hits, 3... Ugh, you are gotta be kidding me, 3 again. I literally just needed 1 more. Pause goes down, and I'm on to my final Pokemon, Pikachu. This is looking a little dicey, but once again, we can easily finish off Larry's Pokemon. Now, it's down to this. A 1v1 Pikachu versus Staraptor. I choose to fire off a Focus Blast, and oh my god! That's a lot of damage. Whoop! We only need 1 more to land, but Larry returns with the Facade, and oh god, that's even more damage. But it's okay. Pikachu is faster. 1 more hit, and that's another victory. Oh, what a rush. Woo! Okay, next gym. Ryme time, but this time it's a doubles match with Huel and Elliot versus Mimikyu and Banette. Well, Banette is easy enough to get rid of. We just need 1 Pluck and 1 Crunch, and what is that? It lived on a sliver of HP? That is so unlucky. Well, I have to waste 1 more turn on finishing off that stupid Banette before Ryme sends out Houndstone. With the new foe to face, I choose to split my attacks with Volt Switch hitting Houndstone and Elliot crunching Mimikyu. On the next turn, I focus both of my attacks on Houndstone to cleanly take it down. With Ryme's ace coming out now, victory is in sight. Ugh, look at that plain, old, boring, normal colored Toxtricity. Blech. What a loser. Anyway, we just need 1 more attack to finish off Mimikyu, and then the rest of my team can just pummel away at Toxtricity. Being severely outnumbered, Ryme stands no chance, and we win yet another badge. These have been some surprisingly decent battles. But before we head into the gauntlet of in-game fights we have coming up, I wanted to take some time to do a couple things. Starting with bullying Iron Treads just a little bit. This fight has never really been an issue, and this run is no different. Largely carried by Pikachu using Surf, Phase 1 is over in a few seconds. Similarly, Phase 2 is just as easy with iPad using Overheat. Next up, I wanted to catch another Pokemon to help with the upcoming battles. Actually, the final Pokemon that I would catch in this run. And the final Pokemon is Magnemite. Its electric steel typing is going to be a huge help against ice, rock, and fairy enemies, so I found where they spawn and got to work. Thank goodness I can listen to music or podcasts while I search for these things, otherwise this would be absolutely unbearable. But after a while, I did spot that special golden Magnemite that I was searching for, and it is absolutely glorious. I named this fella Magnemo and pretty much immediately evolved it into Magnezone. Why does it look like a UFO? I don't know, but I like it. So remember how earlier I said that was gonna be the final Pokemon I catch? Well, I kinda half lied. I mean, that's the final unique Pokemon I'm going to catch. But at this point, I'd actually attempted the Tulip battle a couple times and kinda got destroyed. So I thought, why not just get a second Magnezone to help us out? We'd definitely win then, right? So I did. It took a while, but eventually I managed to find Magnemo's twin, which I then named Magnetu. And personally, I think this name is kind of hilarious. Imagine battling a shiny Magnezone, slowly wearing it down, and then beating it only for another shiny Magnezone to take its place. Pokemon battles are a mental game just as much as anything else, and if I faced two shiny Magnezones, it would definitely get in my head. Alright, so with our strategy in mind, let's try these bad boys out on Tulip. First off, we have to get past Farigiraf, which is pretty easy with Mike's Bite, and now that we're faced with Gardevoir, it's time to try out the double Magnezone strategy. So I bring out Magnemo, and look at how much damage we take. It's pitiful. I love it. Meanwhile, I fire back with Flash Cannon, and hot damn, that is what I am talking about, as Pathwood then manages to outdamage Magnemo, and so I decide to bring out Eliot for the crunch. And now the biggest problem so far, Florges. But this is exactly why I got Magnetu. I do as much damage as I can with Eliot, which isn't much, and then surprise Tulip with our big twist. Thanks to Magnetu being resistant to Florges' attacks and our handy dandy freezing attack, this battle is basically free. Woo! Thank God. But this is no time to take it easy. We've got 2 more gyms to beat, more Titans to take down, and a challenge to finish. Let's do this. The 8th and final gym was up next, the Ice Gym and its leader, Grusha. But we already have plenty of Pokemon and abilities that make Ice type a non-issue, so this one actually went very smooth. Starting with Mike, I used Fire Fang to blast away Frostmoth and do a ton of damage to Beartic. A Flash Cannon from Magnetu was enough to get us to Satitan, which was quickly taken down by Pikachu's Thunder Punch. And Grusha's final Pokemon, Altaria, was super close to beating Pikachu, but the Focus Blasts were just too strong. And that's all the gym badges. Woo! And now we have a few hoodlums to deal with before we can head into the big fights. So let's take care of Ortega first, and I have to say, this one was pretty fun, actually. I started the battle with Rocky so I could use Gunk Shot, and yep, that was a one-shot. And that! I really don't think that I'm the one who's outmatched here, Ortega. Are you seeing what's happening? I guess not, because Rocky just took out 3 of your Pokemon alone. And then we have the Starmobile. Unfortunately, we don't get the Rocky sweep, but that's okay. She did super great, and Magnetu is more than enough to finish this battle. A nice, easy fight. Speaking of, I also beat the False Dragon Titan, and I wish I could say it was interesting, but it was just kinda easy. And that kind of becomes a pattern. Even Aerie, the last Team Star leader, couldn't handle what we were cooking. Have I accidentally made a monstrous, powerful team? Maybe. Toxicroak gets one shot, Annihilape almost beats itself with Confusion, and even Passimian doesn't do that much. The only slight hurdles were Lucario and the Starmobile, and when I say hurdles, I'm being generous. Huel was absolutely the MVP here, and I will treasure this boy forever. But with Team Star taken care of, we could now get into the big battles. The battles that put hair on your chest. The battles which prove to the world that an electric-only team may just be viable. Right after we beat Arven. We kick things off with Paws, who makes quick work of Greedent and then almost takes down Garganackle before finally going down. Magnitude comes in to finish the job, but Toadscruel takes revenge right after. I then bring out Mike to quickly knock out Toadscruel, and we almost get Scovillain too, but it just barely hangs on. No worries, Huel swoops in to clean up, and then lands a massive Volt Switch on Cloyster, taking it out in one shot and swapping in Jim for the final showdown. And I think you guys can guess how this ends. Jim tanks everything thrown at him and powers through for the win. Arven put up a decent fight, but my team? Unstoppable. And to prove that, the next on my list is Clavel. Mike takes the lead and makes quick work of Oranguru, no problem at all. Then it's Gyarados, but Mike isn't having any of that. One big Volt Switch and Gyarados is down instantly. And that also gets us the swap to Paws, where Abomasnow doesn't stand a chance either, going down just as fast. Against Poltergeist, I bring out Elliot, and this is where things get wild. Elliot is losing the fight pretty handily, but by some miracle manages to tough out a Shadow Ball and fires back to clutch the knockout. Amoonguss comes in and finishes off Elliot, but Huel steps in to clean up, barely surviving a Hex in the process. Then it's Clavel's last hope, Skeledirge. And Huel is just refusing to go down, toughing out another hit and then surviving a third time thanks to Skeledirge being confused. Huel is an absolute trooper, and so one final Volt Switch brings in Paws for the finishing blow. What a match. What a game. Alright, next up is Penny and her Eevees. Starting off, we have Paws, who uses close combat to get us past Umbreon, and then Dig to beat Flareon. She is super close to beating Vaporeon too, but 3 Eeveelutions is a little too much to handle. Of course, Vaporeon isn't actually an issue when we have a whole team of electric types, so Huel quickly avenges Paws. After a Volt Switch, we bring out Magnitude, who has a back and forth with Jolteon, but ultimately comes out on top and continues to show dominance by beating Leafeon as well. The final Eeveelution to fall to us is Sylveon, who also loses to Magnitude. What? A beast. Alright, now we're getting into the final battles of the run. It's time to take on the big leagues, the Elite Four. Of course, Rika is up first, and honestly, this battle was pretty terrifying. Rika, who specializes in ground types, has a massive advantage here, having not only the super effective attacks against my electric types, but also complete immunity to any electric attacks I send her way. That's pretty rough. And to make things worse, on my first attack, I accidentally clicked Roost, which obviously does no damage. And then my second attack misses. Poor Huel. No! Thankfully, my Pokemon are not just electric types, so I can still use things like Fire Fang with Mike. Okay, never mind, Mike is also down. As I said, I can still use things like Crunch with Elliot, which finally gets us past Whiscash. It only took 3 Pokemon to do it. Who am I? Ortega? Okay, just 4 Pokemon to go. Easy, right? Against Donphan, I swap the iPad and immediately take a lot of damage, but a Hydro Pump is exactly what we need to blast our way to Dugtrio. I go for another Hydro Pump, but unfortunately flinch, so we take a little more damage than we should. Not to fear though, we landed on the very next turn, and somehow I'm now in the lead. I ready up for another Hydro Pump, and a miss. Let's try it again. There we go. This is going weirdly well now. Okay, last Pokemon, Clodsire. I charge up the Hydro Pump, and it doesn't affect Clodsire. Of course. How could I forget that? Oops. Thankfully, we still have Paws and Magnitude, and Close Combat plus Tri-Attack is enough to get us the win. That battle started off really rough, but somehow we pulled through. Just about. Fortunately though, in the next battle we get a well-earned break. Poppy specializes in Steel-type Pokemon, which are not very effective against electric types, so hooray for us! Woo! And to no one's surprise, this battle goes super well. Paws takes out 2 Pokemon with close combat, and then thanks to recoil damage, Corviknight also falls. Against a dull, boring-looking Magnezone, I choose to use Elliot, and once again, close combat carries hard. We finish off Tinkaton with a Fire Fang, and that's Poppy done. That was so much easier than Rika. And the steamroll continues as we are probably Larry's worst nightmare right now. His flying team is, well, they tried. Sometimes the type advantage is just too much, okay? It's alright, Larry. It's not your fault, man. Now, as for Hassel, this fight was somewhere in the middle. His dragon types are definitely strong, but we do have some counters, starting with Pink Sheep against Noivern. This power gem attack that we got so long ago is still super useful now, as it just takes 2 hits to take out Noivern. Dragalge does finish off Pink Sheep, but that just gives me the opportunity to bring out Mike. Did you guys know dragon types are weak to ice attacks? And oh look, Mike has Ice Fang. How convenient! Yeah, things get pretty fun here. 1 Ice Fang and boom! Dragalge is almost done. 1 more and we're on to Flapple, who, wouldn't you know, is quad weak to Ice Fang. And hey, Haxorus is weak to it too. Unfortunately, we don't quite get the KO here, but that's more than enough damage for Paws to beat it, and then a quick swap to Huel allows us to destroy Baxcalibur. And with that final Hurricane, the Elite Four is finished. It has been a long journey so far, but it's finally time to take on Geeta and take our place as the best Pokemon trainer in Paldea. Here we go. Starting off against this Pathra, we can use Huel's Volt Switch to get some good damage off and then bring out Iliad. Oh, that Illumina Crash hurts, but we can hit back with Crunch for our first KO. Next is Avalugg, and since Iliad is so hurt, I do as much damage as I can to get a clean swap to Paws. With Paws, I can use Close Combat, and BAM! That's another Pokemon down. For Go-Goat, I'm pretty hesitant to just switch out because I don't want to give Geeta free damage, but Paws is just too important to sacrifice, and I really need Mike right now. Using her Fire Fang lets us do massive damage, and Go-Goat is down in 2. We can then continue using Fire Fang on King Gambit for what is so close to another KO. We don't quite get it, but of course we still have plenty of Pokemon to choose from, and Huel is the lucky choice. Another Volt Switch allows us to bring out Pink Sheep against Veluza, and a perfectly placed Thunder absolutely decimates the Fishy. And here we go, Geeta's final Pokemon. It's Glimmora. After terastallizing, Glimmora hits us with a devastating Earth Power that leaves Pink Sheep on just 19 HP. That's pretty painful. And even worse, Glimmora then avoids my attack. That's just not fair. 1 more Earth Power and Pink Sheep is forced to retire. Okay, Magna 2, you can do this. Oh God, Earth Power hurts. 1 HP, woo! I hit with a Tri-Attack and it did nothing. It resists it, ugh. Close Combat? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. What an insane hit. Oh, and it's enough to do the deed. We've finished off Geeta and officially become a champion of Paldea, and with only shiny electric types, oh, feels good, baby. And you know what? Just because I can, let's finally give Nemona her chance. That's right, I haven't forgotten about you. Let's go. Iliad versus Lycanroc. Boom! Close Combat gets the 1 shot. How does Iliad use Close Combat with no hands? I don't know. How does Raichu use Surf? Nobody can tell you. It's a mystery. Next is Orthworm, and it's a very close matchup, but thanks to Orthworm's higher speed, Iliad is taken out. It's okay, Iliad. That could have gone either way. Next, I bring out Mike for a powerful Fire Fang, and then Volt Switch to Pikachu against Dudunsparce. With the power of this little salmon mouse, I can use Focus Blast and, well, blast Dudunsparce away. We're halfway there. This is going quite well. But out next is Pawmot, a plain old brown Pawmot. So naturally, I bring out Paws just because I can. Nothing wrong with a little flex, right? I use Dig and the better Pawmot wins. Once Paws falls against Goodra, I throw my iPad at Goodra's head, which does nothing. iPad dies. Unlucky. Alright, Mike time! I attack with Ice Fang, and perfect. This Ice Fang is so useful, Goodra even gets frozen, allowing us to land another Ice Fang and reach the final obstacle of the entire run. And hey! Nemona has Quaquaval, a Pokemon that just so happens to be weak to electric attacks. It's almost as if I chose Sprigatito as my starter for a reason. And with this, I bring out Huel for 1 final strike from the gods, a thunder that shakes the earth and causes Quaquaval to be absolutely eviscerated. It was a close battle, but we have done it. Geeta is beaten, Nemona is beaten, and I'm really gonna miss these guys. Thank you, team. You did incredible, and thank you for watching. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. Till next time.